I remember lying down, prone, face down, right? And KK and the doctor peppered my calves, and my God, it hurt, with Synthol. Again, it was a day of experimentation for all of us.
What do you mean?
Right, so here...
the shovel of...
Yeah, a shovel of anabolics, yeah.
They were
yeah.
shoveling...
Yeah, actual anabolic, yeah. And
into the vat.
Into the vat of protein
pills.
powder. Yeah. Actual pills ground up. Yeah, I shit you not, I saw it. I bloody saw it. So there's a product called Metamorphosis, and Metamorphosis claimed on the tub, you will guaranteed to make you grow. Guaranteed to make you grow. And it did. Okay. ABC 1, 2, 3, lovely.
1, Good. 2, 3. So there's something I want to get to very specifically. Okay. It's an anecdote you once told me had me in stitches. And, however you want to tell it, I just want to hear the story again. And I want to share the story with people who would probably find this insane. Tell me about, and I'll let you lead with what you're comfortable with saying in terms of names or anything like that, or how you want to say it. But let's just say a product might have existed that you could purchase.
Right.
And its claims were, anabolism, you get big from taking it, which is a spurious claim, like, I eat a protein bar, it's got protein in it, creatine, it's going to make me big. Of course, it won't. But was there, in this mythical time of the 90s, we're talking 90s, I think, maybe you correct me, or early 2000s, there's a spillover, where a product existed that may have had a magic ingredient in to help someone achieve their desired muscular results?
To really pinpoint this, are we talking about something? Would it be a supplement, or would it be like an actual anabolic slash? I mean,
no. This is a over-the-counter product that you could buy.
Okay.
Does this narrow it down?
Yeah. So we're talking a powder.
I'm not sure because it's before my time. But you told me an anecdote once, a story about this, about you being involved in some production of a food supplement.
Okay, now I've got it. Right. I'm glad you said that, because when you started asking the question, in my mind, actually went straight to our first batches here of the Chris Clark invented Synthol, which the Americans then called Pump and Pose. And this obviously contained MCTs and collagen and test propionate and shark cartilage and benzyl alcohol and lidocaine. Again,
I know two of those words out there.
But that was the original Synthol, which was the original SEO, site enhancement oil.
Synthol's an oil, right?
Yeah, site enhancement oil.
This was an oil.
Yeah, it was
sold as a food product.
It was an oil, and it actually said specifically on our labels that, I think it's German actually, Chris Clark. We had the first batch, obviously, with my friend whose initials are KK. And that will segue onto his company in the 90s.
I haven't heard this part before.
Okay.
So this was the precursor.
Yeah, precursor to that instant in the warehouse with the creation of an MRP or in tubs and sachets of a protein food supplement, which you're right. So I'm going to give you both stories, double whammy. So the original batch of Synthol, and shortly afterwards in 2000. The Americans had their derivative, which was called Pump and Pose. And on our UK labels and the American labels, it said specifically on the outside label, not for intramuscular use, for external use only, for topical use only. Obviously, literally green lighting that for injection. Again, it was for customs reasons.
So if I bought this...
Yep.
I mean, one, I don't even know how. I'm in the back of muscular development or something. Sure. I see this. It's sold as a what? As a meal, a food supplement? What's it sold as?
The giveaway with Synthol and with Pump and Pose was that the stopper, that if it was a topical oil to be used, topically on skin, it would have a pop-off replaceable screw-off cap like everything else on the market. But this was an actual rubber bung to be penetrated with a needle, for God's sake. So, it was a multi-dose bottle, so that was the giveaway, of course, that we all knew. Anyone at all in the bodybuilding community knew that this clearly was designed to be injected deep, intramuscular. And like I say, the ingredients were top of my head, like I say, collagen as a protein, benzyl alcohol, lidocaine painkiller, shark cartilage, MCT, medium chain triglycerides, and the 10% anabolic ingredient of testosterone propionate.
And,
I might be missing, eye of Newton, wing of bat, and tail of scorpion. I don't know, but
these are illegal. Well, the testosterone is illegal.
Well, no. I mean, at the end of the day, all testosterone. I mean, now it's called TRT, ridiculous acronym. That's a pet hate, by the way.
Testosterone replacement
therapy. Yeah, I wish people, including Joe Rogan, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan. I worship at the altar of Joe Rogan like everyone else. I have been since 2011. But I wish people would just say, I'm taking anabolic steroids. I'm taking testosterone, because that's
TRT
what it is.
Is not the therapy.
Exactly,
sounds like.
Not at all.
It's just gear.
It's gear. People will be taking a nanthate, cypionate, propionate.
But it's gear given to you by the doctor. I couldn't go on TRT. It's via a medical process. Right?
I mean, look at Planned Parenthood in America. Here's comedy for you. Planned Parenthood in America. So if you've got and I won't go down into a rabbit hole for obvious political reasons, but if your son or daughter feels like they identify as something else and they want to transition, let's say a girl wants to become a boy. Recently the person previously known as something Page in the film Inception and Juno. I believe this individual is now called Elliot Page. I won't dead name. Anyway, and she's in the Umbrella Academy on Netflix. She's taking testosterone, okay? And she is now also a he, and we must all call her Elliot. So Elliot Page, like I say, I'm not saying his former name, but he's taking, no ifs, buts, or maybes, either testosterone cypionate or enanthate or propionate or Sustanon 250. End of conversation. Okay, and Planned Parenthood provide that. It's actual testosterone, as I would take as a bodybuilder, but it's under the thinly veiled as TRT because this person wants to become more manly. I just wish they tell the truth, because those are the facts.
But back in late 90s,
let's get back to the
so I think it would have been illegal.
It was illegal, and they're still not illegal. It was illegal to have sufficient quantity that it was deemed distribution.
I have been under the impression the steroids are legal in the sense of possession, though you can't sell any, and it's illegal. I mean, again, I don't know quantities or anything, and I don't know the law, but I just think that this product, what was it called? Pump and Pose?
Synthol. Synthol and Pump and Pose in America.
The word Synthol then became... Is Synthol still? It can't be the same mix ingredients it used to be, is it?
No,
because I'm thinking of Synthol Kid. You know the Russian guy who built, and all those guys.
Imbecile. Yeah,
that's what they were pumping.
It's Greg Valentine, wasn't it? With draining all the pus. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I mean, I used Synthol when it came out. I mean,
did you?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Does it disperse? Where did you use it?
I used it in my calves, in my rear delts, my side delts, my triceps, my biceps, even my pecs. And that actually, don't use it in your pecs because it goes straight into your breathing. I was like asthma straight away. Terrible.
You're joking.
Oh no. I tried it all. So, I mean, I can give you two stories. I can give you the Synthol story and also how another late person, the late Paul Borison. So I can... It depends which story you want first. You decide. I can give you the story about how oxymethylone, better known as Anadrol or Anapolin, the 50 milligram oral tablet, the steroid, was put in by the bucket load into a product called Metamorphosis, sold by a company. I can give you that story.
That story too. I want to hear Synthol first because that leads into story two. So let's go.
So Synthol first. Again, this would have been, I was living at 58C, Redcliffe Gardens, SW10 9HD. Certain things stick in my head. So I was living with a lovely set designer for the BBC called Dennis. He was completely straight, and this was after Matthew Kelly's. I had this habit of living with Very straight men. They were lovely, to be fair. And yeah, it is starting in London when you're pretty. And when I had hair back in the day. So I was in my flat, and my doctor friend, as previously mentioned, and this would have been, Tom, specifically now, summer 90. Hang on, if I took Newbane, this is pre-Newbane. This is pre-Newbane, buddy.
Okay,
So
interesting.
So literally, this might have been summer '94. Summer '94. The reason I know that is because Dorian had a new business card, and I was ever so excited to receive Dorian's new trademark lat spread business card with his head turned to the side, taken from the iconic 1993 Olympia in Savannah, Georgia. Obviously, he went 92 Helsinki, 93 Savannah before returning to Vegas. But anyway, I think 93, most people regard 93 as Dorian's greatest Olympia. Anyway, so that was on his business card in 94. So that's why, again, I've got to be specific with my dates, otherwise it's too nebulous. So there I am in my flat in Redcliffe Gardens, and the late Paul Borison and my doctor friend and the founder of the company whose logo was a skull and crossbones, before it was called CNP or DYA. I'll just say it's chemical warfare. It's happy memories, chemical warfare. And chemical warfare, the owner, the founder, and Paul Borison came to my flat in Redcliffe Gardens with my doctor friend, and not only did we all inject each other with Synthol.
To, like, test it out.
Oh, it was an actual party in my room. It's an actual party.
But this was a new product.
First batch. We're guinea pigging it.
way.
It's a guinea pig day. So they came down from Manchester or Edgbaston. Again, I am only going to say what physically happened. This is it with me. You're only going to get the truth. So the late Paul Borison and our friend KK and my friend the doctor, we set up an actual a drip of saline solution and glucose. And
is that for safety?
Well, this is where it gets juicy. Paul wanted to, at the time, to be fair, Tom, these are glorious days. I mean, I'm talking real glory, right? Real heady days. Dorian was massive. We had Ian Harrison. We had Ernie Taylor. We had a good British scene. We had Billy Jones, Graham Black, Mike Sheridan, the list goes on. We had some good chunky Britain. We had Grant Thomas. All these names, people hearing this will know exactly who I'm talking about. John Hodgson, the list goes on. JD Duwadu, Ian Wadley, Lenny St. Cyr, all the Muscle Works boys down here.
I still see Lenny.
Do you?
Yeah.
What a physique!
And
what
I
a physique!
Wadley.
Yeah, Ian Wadley, Lenny St. Cyr, JD Duwadu, proper boys. Yeah. Like those guys a lot. Ian Wadley knows me. If you said to Ian Wadley, Justin, he'd know me.
Really? I wish I had that. I mean, they won't remember me. I've filmed him before, but I wish I'd mentioned.
He saved my arse once at Cafe de Paris. We had a night called Cosa Nostra, and we were overrun by a certain community, and we had 4 doormen, and Ian Wadley actually saved me. Yeah.
That's another
story.
Exactly.
We'll against another anecdote. So there I am in my room in Redcliffe Gardens. Just for the record, just for a little bit of
context.
Fun. Yeah, Redcliffe Gardens is where the iconic scene from John Landis's American Werewolf in London was filmed. So the iconic scene where you see David Norton going and then stretching, that lovely, I think it was Stan Winston, the late Stan Winston, special effects, prosthetics, obviously pre-CG. You got beautiful British Jenny Agutter as the nurse in John Landis's, Beware the Moon, lads, stick to the rules.
I've not actually seen
it.
But I'm familiar.
Sorry, shame on you. Yeah, but yeah, American Werewolf in London is one of the most iconic films of all time, and John Landis directs. It was filmed there's some great scenes filmed. The flat he is in Redcliffe Gardens.
So it's a fancy area.
It is. It's a nice area, yeah. It's SW10, sort of Chelsea, It goes straight onto Fulham Road and Kings Road. So we're there in the flat, me and Paul Borison, KK and the doctor. They, as in KK and Paul, were wanting to write an article for Battle News. In fairness to them, they'd already written an article for Battle News. Battle News was a unique publication for buyers of chemical warfare products. This was a true British underground supplement company. Battle News, they, KK and Paul Borison, had written, this is kind of cool, relevant to our earlier chat, about their attempt to come off Newbane.
Okay.
They'd admitted, and you can find this publication to this day, they'd admitted to going to an actual rehab clinic
Oh wow.
for real to get off Newbane. So again, I mention that just to it's relevant, isn't it? Because we talk about Newbane.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor and KK and Paul Borison want to experiment with using Synthol in body parts in Paul and myself and Dave and KK, because we had this first batch. And at the same time, for an article, for the sake of a new article, we tried this guinea pig thing for Battle News. How much weight can we add to Paul in a day? And this was done with an IV drip of saline solution and glucose, and I shit you not, and I was there. He was subcutaneously using insulin, because if you take in a few, and again, anyone that's done it knows this, so long as you don't go too hypoglycemic and you've got loads of flapjacks, because chemical warfare made very, very high sugar, high fat flapjacks, we had like cherry bakewells, had an abundance, an absolute plethora of flapjacks available to control his blood sugar. Putting in subcutaneous insulin, obviously we were all using Newbane anyway, just like Newbane, like cups of tea, just punctuating the day. And of course, this constant IV drip of saline solution and glucose to see how much weight could go on a man in a day. If memory serves, he put on about 11 to 14 pounds. So it's a British stone in a day. To see if it could be done.
You know what? It to me, it's just reeks of like
it's Frankenstein
of
shit.
the things that drawing a comparison is like the lengths that people go to for content. You know, like we're talking pre-social media and all the rest of it, but like they were desperate for an article.
Yeah, it's pre Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Yeah,
rather than make it up, they just
did it.
I mean, I don't know this Paul guy, but it sounds like a dumbass thing to do, man.
Paul Borison wrote The Great Secret, and The Great Secret
is not to inflate yourself.
Exactly. Dorian himself. Was it called The Great Secret or The Big Secret? Could be a Freudian slip. I think it was The Big Secret. It was a bodybuilding handbook, and Paul Borison wrote it. And one of the madcap ideas he had was to do 72 reps for a lagging body part.
I remember hearing like all this kind of magical
Absolutely.
stuff.
We're talking Harry Potter shit, yeah. And I remember Dorian himself, when he came to the warehouse in Denton.
Dorian who does one rep.
Exactly, yeah. What one rep, one set, whatever. Yeah, although there's 4 or 5 feeder sets, you know that. And Dorian himself said, I'll never forget this. He said, and bear in mind, I was literally on the shop floor when Dorian said this. He said, so not 71, not 73, but 72. Because your muscles know that, right?
Yeah,
and again, it's a real piss take. And of course, Dorian was right.
It's classic Dorian.
Yeah, it is not 73, not 71, but just 72. Yeah. Based on what, Paul? And of course, the whole thing fell apart. It's hilarious, hysterical. So, I mean, again, Paul Borison became something of a myth. He did die, and he died of an overdose, of course, like you know, 6 more of my friends. But you know, Paul, when I went to Venice Beach to live, I was asked by all and sundry, from all the American pros, what was Paul Borison like?
Oh, he had a name.
Yes, because the minute they heard my English accent in Venice Beach, when I landed in Jan 2000, did you know the late Paul Borison? Yes, I did. Because he had this mad Professor Dan Duchesne, mythical, you know, phoenix type, you know, sort of reputation. And the reality is his knowledge wasn't that great. And he used to say he was a doctor and stuff, and he wasn't. I think he had a bachelor's degree in something, but he was a madcap bastard, never had a great physique. He had a good physique, but not a great physique. So we're in my flat, and like I say, again, I'm being conservative, but it's about 11 to 14 pounds of body weight. And they arrived, we had a big fry-up at Benny's Cafe in Earl's Court on the main drag there. Me, KK, the Doctor, and Paul Borison. And had a big fry-up, went to the flat, and the Doctor set up this drip of saline solution and glucose, plus he was supersetting that with Newbane, just literally, you know, because we're all addicts, and of course insulin. So you know, this idea of literally flooding the body with sugars, that was the idea. And it worked, so for the sake of content, for the sake of an article, KK and Paul Brison went back to the next edition of Battle News and said, we did an experiment, we put on a stone in a man in a day. Bang.
You know what, it's such like mad bastard thing. Like, why don't these guys just get paid by the medical, community? Like, it's like, why don't they, I know it's the ethics is just shot, but it's like, those guys, you guys are up to that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Why don't you just do it in a clinical setting so the people can learn from it? You know what I mean?
Yes, properly.
Rather than an article in some magazine,
obscure magazine,
one's going to read apart from some guys. Like,
exactly,
it's so crazy because you could never ethically, a medical doctor could never do something like that.
Never, Tom.
You guys,
I know,
and that's just you guys. What about all the other guys that are doing crazy shit as well?
This is it. I mean, again, these are stories that are very precious to me because there were 4 people in that room. It was my flat. It was my actual room. It was me, KK, the doctor, and Paul Borison. And of course, I again, there's certain stories I'll tell you like this and more, where I'm like, bring on any heat, bring on any doubters. Anyone wants to question me, I'm like, right, there are 3 of us are still alive, right? And I'm trying to protect the names of the doctor and KK, but you can kind of suss it out. But there's 4 people in that room, and I was there, and I remember lying down, prone, face down, right? We know that, prone, and KK and the doctor peppered my calves, and my God, it hurt, with Synthol. Again, it was a day of experimentation for all of us.
But there's something about you that you're a body person, like a gore person in a sense. Like you,
bit Cronenberg,
You don't mind a cut or a thing or a poke around. Like I don't even like pulling a quip off my fingernail. You know? Like, whereas you'd probably like.
Oh yeah,
it's just something you've never been
squeamish.
averse to, and with all the medical stuff, procedures you've gone through, which is a whole talk in itself. There's something almost detached from you that looks upon yourself as a test subject in a way, or as like the fleshy body is a part of you, but a part of you as well.
Yes,
in a sense.
Yeah,
you have a disconnect. I don't know if that's true.
No,
if it feels true.
That's a fair observation. I mean, for a guy that came from a soft background and a gentle upbringing and a nice childhood and a nice town, the absurdity and the perversity of my life path is that I've put myself in situations with company and location which are frankly fucking awful. No one's put a gun to my head, so. What's that about?
You have a high tolerance of pain.
I do, very.
I think I've not witnessed it, but obviously I know what you've gone through, and I mean I couldn't do it. So Synthol. So the Synthol day.
It hurt. Yeah. So I was doing Synthol, and like I say, I say supersetted because again we know the technique of supersetting. It makes sense in this setting. Excuse the pun, because I'd literally have a shot of Nubane to, of course, anaesthetise the pain, and bear in mind there was some lidocaine in the Synthol, which was But again, Tom, just going by memory. Like earlier when I said about the clenbuterol, the injectable, relaxing the uterus at the time of parturition in sheep and cattle. This is how I remember the label of the original boxes of bottles of Chris Clark Synthol, and it was benzyl alcohol, lidocaine. So there's your sort of cleanish alcohol for reasons, and of course lidocaine, MCT. Medium chain triglycerides, so there's your fat and your shark cartilage and collagen, and of course the 10% test propionate. So that was the active steroid at 10%. And
why would that be in Synthol?
Well, I think from a marketing point of view, Chris Clark, wanted to say, hey, it does have an anabolic effect. It's not purely cosmetic oil going in.
So you do it in your delt. Your delt would get bigger instantly, and then you wouldn't be able to say it's not from it's not this oil. It's
got a steroid in it. It's got a steroid in it.
That sounds unethical as a product.
Of course it was. And again, this was, talk about a shot in the dark, Tom. It was at no point other than a handshake and a word did we know, than someone's word, did we know what it was.
So it come from Germany, and you were the company you were associated with was a distributor for that product.
Correct.
And it got itself over to the UK, to the US via the UK distributor. As Pump and Pose.
Well, when I got to Venice, bear in mind I landed in Venice Beach in Jan 2000. And very quickly, I fell in with, Paul Dillett, Flex Wheeler, Craig Titus, Kelly Ryan, Tom Prince, Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler. I think I said, I'm repeating names now. Lee Priest, and Melvin Anthony, Gary Stryden, Aaron Baker. Anyway, Paul Dillett very quickly said to me, that's what we're using, because within days, because of the common denominator was Newbane with all of that lot, they were obviously using Newbane. And the local Max Muscle store in Venice, just literally 100 yards up from Gold's Gym, were distributing Newbane and steroids. And I very quickly, as a newbie, as a tourist, I just walked into Max Muscle, and with my sort of spidey set, you do as a bodybuilder, you can walk into a store, a clothing store, which is what Max Muscle was, not to be confused with our British Maxi Muscle. Zeph Eisenberg's, I don't know if Zeph is still there or not, but certainly in the 90s, Zeph Eisenberg was the CEO of our Maxi Muscle, and rugby players took it, and it was, you put your chocolate Maxi Muscle protein on your porridge. But in America, Max Muscle, run by Sean Green and Joe Wells, who were the CEOs in Anaheim, California, because I was hired there as the store manager for their Max Muscle Venice store, pending visa. So when I walked in there on day one, I took one look at John Kaler, the manager, and I introduced myself as a Brit. Hi, I'm Justin. And I got a post-it note off the desk, wrote down the word Newbane, and did that. Didn't say the word, and he went, "Yeah, buddy, 4 o'clock," and that was it. I was in. So that's how it's done. I've left Heathrow. I've left my home. I've come to bloody LAX. I've left LAX. I've gone to Max Muscle. I've walked into a store. I've looked at Tom Prince, Chris Cormier, Paul Dillett. Looked at them. Looked at their veins, because you can spot a fellow user because they'll have certain marks on their veins. I'm like, okay, they're all on. And that's where I wrote the word down. I looked at the manager, John. Looked at his arm. Saw his scar on his vein, and thought, right, that's it, Newbane, done. And he said, 4 o'clock. So again, that's what happens with bodybuilding. So look, I need to finish that story. So typical me, I stepped off topic, but so that was done for the sake of the article. Me, Paul Borison, the doc, and KK. He puts on 11 to 14 pounds with this glucose, insulin, saline solution, superset, mad bastard, and I and the doctor and KK were all body part shooting Synthol. That was the experiment. So Synthol and Paul's weight gain. That was the day. Fast forward a month or 3, I go back up to Denton, Manchester, where their chemical warfare warehouse is, with the doctor. I drive up, and I was introduced to great vats of protein. We're talking literal, industrial size, huge vats of protein.
This is where I'd get my optimum nutrition protein. Not branding, but just to give it context for people. It's that powder in the tubs.
Yes,
like that's it. They're in these vats.
You get a kilo, 2.5, 5 kilos, 10 kilos.
So this company was producing the whey protein.
Absolutely. So you got a whey concentrate, a whey isolate, or an MRP.
Like different vats for different things.
Yeah, for sure. So here's your strawberry, here's your chocolate, there's your banana, there's your vanilla.
Are we talking big warehouse size?
Yeah, probably for about 3.5, about 4,000 square feet, I'd say.
Okay.
4,000 square feet plus a mezzanine floor. Yeah, probably double that up, 6,000 square feet maybe, all in.
I've kind of got this shot of the Joker, I think, where he falls in the Jared Leto there. I just got this vision of you wondering about like some dank, like dangerous spot. I mean, I'm sure it was. What was it, like hygienic at least there?
I mean, I didn't see too many gloves. Certainly no masks. Certainly no cover-ups on the soles of the shoes.
And what year are we talking about? What's the rough?
Okay, this would have been exactly. Again, this is 90. Come on, Justin. Doran's business card, 94.
Okay. 94, so we're mid 90s, and
94.
And so you're in this warehouse.
Yep. So this is
why are you there again?
I'd gone up with my doctor friend to spend time in, because I was earmarked as a distributor. In those days, if you were a distributor of their supplements, you got your own shit for free. And supplements, yes, supplements.
Are we talking literal supplements and naughty supplements?
Both, yes, you're correct. Yeah, you're right. So they had to be fair, that they still make it. The original propeptide, the protein powder, which became very popular, and even a higher grade protein called Quadrant, called so because you had an isolate, you had collagen, you had caseinate and something else I forget, but four protein sources going in there. Because as a general rule, the most dominant ingredient is the first listed. Yeah. So typically speaking, you'll know if protein is shite when it's just got concentrate as the first one, as opposed to an isolate. So Quadrant was even higher than propeptide. They stopped making the Quadrant protein because it was literally not financially viable because it cost so much.
Oh, so it was actually good.
It was really good, like
and
really high grade protein. Oh, of course, yeah, I had that. I was gifted that, and that was a huge. To be fair, it was the only protein powder I've ever taken that you take and you go, wow, this looks, feels, tastes different. And
mine was the BSN. You know, Ronnie Coleman.
Yes,
he did
BSN
like a
nutrition.
chocolate dessert one. I mean, it just looked banging. The old the red.
No explode, nitric
no
oxide.
Explode.
Yeah, I had that at the gym.
Cell mass as well.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, I broke,
that was muscle
the
tech.
bank
Cell mass,
to buy that shit, man.
Yeah,
But it worked.
It did.
It really did.
Good old nitric oxide, the good old vascular
incredible
pump. Yeah.
Oh god, man, that was the days. So anyway, you arrived at this place. You've got you've been lined up to be a distributor.
Yes, distributor or trader.
So you're going there to have a chat. It's kind of like an interview, but
it was in many ways. It was a chat. It was an interview, and of course, this is where certain things like my doctor friend had been helpful, because my doctor friend had been taken on as a retainer, as a consultant for the company.
Interesting. Well, just in case no one's heard the previous episodes, the doctor is a medical doctor, who had a rather nefarious influence on your life.
Yeah, good and bad. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You can't ever really take apart. You know, that's bad things happen, good things happen. So I'm not trying to, dismiss him or anything. But essentially, for anyone who hasn't heard, the doctor's quite an important figure.
He was in my life. He was,
to your life. So you're up there together.
We're up there together, and we're messing around with.
KK.
Okay. Oh God, I've said it. Oh God, I've done it. Twice now. I've done it. Anyway, KK. Yeah. Kevin Keegan. And so, oh God, anyway, it's too late. And we had this little tour. We were eating flapjacks, talking, and bear in mind, a few years later, just as a point of reference, I'd been to other places like Viomax in Wales, where a lot of English supplements, to be fair, there's only 2 or 3 places in the UK that make all of our supplements. So whether you buy from Bournemouth or Brighton or London or East Anglia, the reality is protein powder comes from only 2 or 3 places in the UK. You probably know that. But the difference in hygiene operationally in somewhere like Viomax in Wales
was markedly different.
Yeah. I mean, one was literally, white lab coats and so, versus chemical warfare, which was, I'm wearing any old shit, and it's like, come on, lads, let me show you the vat. And he had literal, sort of what we would call in the day YTS kids, youth training scheme, literally, the work experience lads, there's a guy out the back door having a having a cigarette, that caused problems in America. I was dying for a fag, because I'm not used to it. So these big vats, to be fair, these vats were probably in terms of diameter about the size of this table, and they'd literally stand there, at the behest of Paul Borison and KK. Those big aluminum, those big aluminium, they're literal shovels, and you'll see it on the news, and it'll see like loads of pills sliding off their funnel in. That was nothing but oxymethylone, which is.
Hold on, what do you mean?
Right, so here,
the shovel of
anabolics. Yeah,
they were shoveling.
Actual anabolic. Yeah, and into the vat of protein
pills.
powder. Yeah, actual pills ground up. Yeah, I shit you not, I saw it. I bloody saw it. So there's a product called Metamorphosis, and Metamorphosis claimed on the tub, you will guaranteed to make you grow, And it did, because it contained actual anapolin anadrol, real name oxymeth. Yeah.
Can you imagine there's still someone's got like a pot of that like nowadays somewhere, and it gets chemically tested and proves that?
Brilliant.
No.
There is a chap, about the only chap in the UK that springs to mind. And I will say his name because he's actually a really good chap, and he's actually a very, very has-been. I don't know what his current status is, but Paul Smith in Portsmouth.
That's Paul Smith in Portsmouth.
Yeah, no, but that really is his name, Paul Smith.
Tongue.
Yeah, he took on the old Wider shop, as in Wider. Take your pick, but that became his supplement warehouse, and he was a big distributor of chemical. And I used to visit him, and he had the original tubs of Metamorphosis, the original tubs, sell-by dates long since gone, of Quadrant. And their third saucy product was called Battle Zone, which, of course, was in terms of equivalency, our UK version of Dan Duchesne's Ultimate Orange. Ultimate Orange, which
ephedrine.
was ephedrine with orange flavouring. Our Battle Zone, made with chemical warfare, was the same, ephedrine, but lemon flavouring, so just that's the difference. But yeah, it's pure. So my point is, this was the glorious days where supplements weren't tested, supplements weren't measured in any sense of the word. And you could put on a label guaranteed to make you grow. And we knew at the factory that it contained actual anabolics. Again, unmeasured. Just huge vats with these, literally, I'll put in another one, put in a fourth one. So there's no dose regulation at all.
This is mad, isn't it?
I witnessed it. Again, I will only comment on what I saw, not what I heard. So, and I remember, again, great plumes of smoke, and KK was giggling like a
maniacal overseer.
That's the word, maniacal. Thank you. Yeah, maniacal. He's like, "Here, Justin, come here. So I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Have a whiff of that." He goes, "You'll grow on that." And he's just like, he had this hysterical laugh. And of course, this man's gone on to have a great, successful influence with British boxing. It was a great time. We then went on to the gym, which is long since gone. The gym was called Better Bodies, spelled BET. Yeah, exactly. And again, it was this was times where, again, just a very, very brief, I ended up having a meal at the gym because KK's wife worked at the gym, and they'd serve real food, lasagna, shepherd's pie, chicken breast. And I had a meal with a very nice chap wearing a grey suit called Steve. Didn't know him, never met him before in my life. And then after chatting to this random bloke who said to me, "Oh, you with KK who owned the gym?" I said, "Yeah, my name's Justin, pleased to meet you." Half an hour chat, I go and train, and then KK comes up to me and goes, "Here, Justin, do you know who that was?" I said, "Well, his name's Steve." He said, "Yeah, he's murdered 3 people." It's a local Manchester Moss Side
hitman.
Yeah. And Tom, he was so polite. He was so pleasant. I had not a clue. Again, it's just another example of being sat in a gym, talking to a random person that I thought was super polite. And he said, "Yeah, he's done 3 people, shot them." I was like, wow, just stuff like that.
These gyms, man. I mean, the gyms are different nowadays.
Yeah,
I mean, there's still got to be some old school gym existing somewhere. But like back then, I think because when I grew up, my mum was a fitness instructor, so I was quite au fait with the gym. We would go there often. I'd play about on the equipment and stuff. But it was a bit dingy, and then I was always. I wasn't always, but there was a general attitude towards big boys gyms, and they were called big boys gyms.
Yeah. Spit and sawdust. Yeah.
And I never kind of got it because I had always felt quite familiar with the gym because I grew up in it, and I'm unthreatening to anyone. Like I'm a kid and all the rest of it. So I was always quite I held the gym as a really kind of special place, but I never really understood the bad side of gyms because even around here there's a famous hardcore gym, and soon when I like found it in London. I knew of it, went and visited, paid my respect, and I was just desperate to be in there. I was, the smallest guy the smallest guy out of everyone.
Sure.
But it, like, I just never, I'll give the bigger guys, because it's their kind of thing, they're actually there to do a thing or step on stage.
Sure.
So, if they want to use the cables, okay, fine, like it was my set.
You yield.
You
do.
I'm not there to
it.
be a little bitch about it or anything, but yeah, I mean, I actually forgot where I was going with it.
Well, no, Tommy. Look, if we're talking about the same gym, and I suspect we are, if it's in Bethnal or thereabouts, I remember going there too with my doctor friend, and it was definitely summer '94.
Right.
And I remember walking up those stairs. If it's the same thing, walked up the staircase, and there was the receptionist on the left, and the owner, just 3 letters, the owner. And I watched JD Duadu having a roast dinner off the desk there with his big hamstrings, and I remember no aircon, lots of sweat, and I remember feeling, this is how you grow. This is, do you know what I mean? And again, I just felt, there's Bournemouth and there's this place.
It's environments.
It is. It's how you grow.
I mean, some crazy shit goes on in those places.
Yeah.
But that crazy shit is for a next episode. Can you tease us up with anything, Justin, that I haven't previously spoken to you about? But I will dig through my notes and archives unless there's something juicy that people are going to love. Tell me about that mid-90s era, that golden era, no social media, nothing that we can...
Exactly.
It's all hearsay, anecdotes.
It is.
Is there something that you can tease me with right now? What would I be jaw-dropping about that you got up to, whether it's you're putting something in you or like doing some crazy shit?
All right, then let's go with a couple that are currently in jail. One of them's going to be in there for a long time. They're in America. One's out now. The lady's out. And I got very close to that couple. A bit too close for comfort, and one phone call, one fax, one phone call, it is what would have tipped the scales in the wrong way of me being involved with that couple, and that in 2005, was it 2005? Anyway, I could be out by a year or two. It could be 2004, but that notorious bodybuilding / fitness couple, I was involved with in Venice Beach, and it was a story that shook the bodybuilding world. I mean, there's not many stories gnarlier than the Craig and Kelly conversation. So I could.
And you have a story and an insight.
I do.
That people don't know about.
I do indeed. Again, based on my time spent with them.
Okay. Let's keep that for next time, because I don't think I've heard this one.
It's a tough one. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Well,
no worries.
Great. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Enjoyed it.